Hey, everybody, and thanks for joining me on another episode of Straight Jacket White Rabbit. As usual, I'll be your host, Adam. Today, you guys, we're going to be talking about the rise in demonic activity as well as demonic possession that's been going on worldwide for years now, and it's getting worse. I don't know why this isn't getting the publicity that it deserves. I mean, well, I know why. They don't want to acknowledge it, but it's a really hard thing to go up against the skeptics of this because they go, well, where are your numbers? Well, churches and all these other places don't report exact numbers, and a lot of cases go completely unreported. So it gets a little sticky as far as coming up with the proof to show skeptics, which is why I usually only talk about this with people who are believers or at least open-minded. So it goes like this, you guys. There have been purported activity of demonic possession and oppression and just demonic activity in general going back through human history, okay? It's just the way it is. The Greeks, Native Americans, Judaism, Taoism, Buddhism, Native American folklore, African folklore, South American folklore. There are literally on every continent in the world, as far as I know, whether they call it demonic possession or not, but they do believe in the taking over of by a spirit. Whatever word they use for it, it means possession, you guys. Now, back in the 90s, for me at least, this is when I was really getting into paranormal and following things online that were paranormal, and reading things in books that were like true paranormal stories, things like that. And I started to notice after a while that there really was a dramatic increase going on of demonic activity compared to our history, or at least our recorded history of possessions. Members of the Catholic Church won't go into detail about this, but they will say that there are dramatic rises in demonic activity seemingly going on throughout the entirety of the world. Now, if this wasn't enough of them just admitting this, they've also started since 2005, they keep increasing the amount of training classes they have available to their priests and things to learn how to perform exorcisms. This is not just, however, a Vatican and Catholic Church thing. These are many different religions that have instituted this. I believe the Catholic Church started it in 2005 because they noticed the dramatic increase in demand for exorcisms. They had churches who couldn't perform exorcisms in some towns because even though technically, according to the Vatican, they should have had someone there that was trained to do this, they didn't, because there wasn't the need in every town to have this, you guys. These possessions are picking up in not only number, which is, in my opinion, a very scary rate picking up. I honestly, if I had to put a number to it, I would say that we are seeing demonic oppression, demonic I don't want to say all of these are this rate, but I'm talking about as a group. Possessions, oppression, or in general demonic activity, we're seeing a spike that's probably close to, I'd say, 200 to 300%, you guys, in the last 20 to 30 years. That's a big jump. We're talking about the Catholic Church and the Vatican coming out and saying we don't have enough people trained to perform this ritual to cast these demons out, which to me is an admission in and of itself. Even if you don't know the numbers, all these major religions are coming out and saying that they're on the rise. The demand for an exorcism to be performed all around the world globally is literally climbing through the roof. And if that wasn't bad enough, you guys, we're seeing a dramatic rise in demons that have not, as far as we know, seen topside or seen our realm for hundreds, if not thousands of years. For those of you who've never heard of the demon Zozo, okay, a lot of people think it's a relatively new thing. Zozo, oh, it's cute. It sounds, what a cute name for a demon. It's not scary. Zozo. Now, here's the problem, you guys. People like me believe that this is actually a different demon, okay? There's a demon, Pazuzu, or Pazuzu. Not sure exactly what the pronunciation is. Nobody really is. But because it's from the time of the Babylonians and the Akkadians, you guys, like Mesopotamia. And a lot of like a lot of demonologists and people in the church tend to believe that this new demon, Zozo, is actually this Mesopotamian era demon that is now resurfaced recently. They've been giving him cute nicknames like the demon of the Ouija boards and things like this. But you have to understand, you guys, Pazuzu he was a king of demons. He was king of the demons of the wind. This was not an entity you wanted to screw around with in any way, shape, or form. This thing was known to cause famines and natural disasters and sicknesses, causing people to die of illness. This was a mean mother. Azazel. We've had accounts in recorded recent history, and I mean in my lifetime, of people being attacked by an entity claiming to be Azazel. Okay, once again, this is biblical era demons that have not been seen a lot topside, that are making more and more advances on attacking people in our realm. That being said, it's not just a couple of these demons, you guys. There seems to be more low-level demon activity. And yes, there are tiers of demonic activity, you guys. Not all demons are Lucifer or Azazel or Zozo or whatever. A lot of possessions are actually perpetrated by lower-level demons. They're basically in the demon hierarchy, they're kind of the cannon fodder. They're the ones that sent down to tempt people and to turn easy people to turn, to possess easy people to possess. Things of this nature, they're the ones that are sent to tip the balance towards evil. And people say lower level demon, and that's not giving these things enough respect as far as fear goes. I don't mean respect as far as respect. I mean like fear. You need to treat a lower level demon just like a hierarchy demon. These things demand a serious amount of attention if you come into contact with one. You cannot be caught slacking because these things will use emotional leverage. They will use any kind of mental breakdowns you have, any weak points that you have that they can chip away at. This is how these things work. And even a lesser demon is a huge threat to a person if it gets inside of you or it gets to a point where it can oppress you. Now, the difference for those of you who don't know between oppression and possession, oppression is generally causing things to go wrong with you without taking control of you. Like, this is normally manifested in things like severe attitude change, suicidal thoughts, anger, displacement, a lot of different emotions, usually negative ones. People distancing themselves from family that they've never distanced themselves from before, like in every range. That is oppression, you guys. Possession is where it takes physical control of your body and locks you away in your own mind while it's controlling your physical actions, your speaking, your thoughts. You don't have control. Now, according to my beliefs, and I'm going to say according to my beliefs, not to overshadow anyone or insult anyone else's beliefs that may be of religious tone. In my beliefs, certain people, it's not that you cannot be possessed, but certain people are less likely to be possessed because they have a strong constitution of will. I don't want to say a strong connection to God because there are atheists who have had protection from demons because of the fact that they had a strong sense of self and self-protection, and their mind was like a rock. They didn't have a point to chip away at. It was a solid protection. So I don't want to narrow this down to just the Christian thinking of it or the Catholic thinking of it, because as I said, this has been practiced in major religions around the world, you guys. Even Buddhists believe in demons and exorcisms. Okay? Native Americans believe in exorcisms and demons. Now, me personally, you guys, I've never run in contact with something that I claimed to be a demon, but I have seen things that most people would consider to be demonic attacks. I've been scratched in set of threes on investigations, which a lot of priests will tell you that this is a mocking of the Trinity. I'm not going to go that far because I don't know what it was that scratched me. Back then, I was actually kind of a provocateur on investigations, and I tended to talk a little smack here and there. So I may have just ticked off the wrong ghost. But I have had friends of mine and demonologists and even priests who have told me that what I did experience, as far as the scratches down my back that were in the sets of three, could have been a demonic attack. However, that being said, even though I didn't witness it myself, you guys, like I said, I've read tons of books on the subject. I've talked to people who've had personal accounts, and the phenomenon is real. These people, and if you've ever seen a real recording of an exorcism, you guys, they get quite scary. There are very few out there, and they're even harder to get your hands on. Sometimes they get posted, and they get taken down right away on different social media platforms and things like that. But there are ways to find some of them, and some of them are. I don't know how people just go, oh, well, that chick's a really good actress. We're talking videos that are for 30, 40 years old, back when they had the big rig cameras, like the news cameras for home use. People were not doing digital editing and all this stuff back then, but they've got little petite girls who have these squeaky little girl voices doing full on my tone of voice, all let me go, just yelling at the people around them. These are not sideshow people who are trying to get attention and sell movie rights, you guys. These are the most cases of possession are not even reported other than to their church or to their religious organizations that they belong to, because of the fact, you guys, that they don't want the publicity from this. The church will tell you if they are asked not to report on an exorcism, they will not give any information on it. That being said, if a family okays the church to talk about it, then sometimes they do speak on certain exorcisms that were performed throughout history. Now, as far as, like I said, the numbers, you guys, it's really hard to prove, but I'm telling you right now, the Catholics, the Buddhists, everybody has noticed an uptick that is immense. And it's getting more and more frequent with more and more notable demons. Okay? We're talking about demons that have been topside, like I said, in quite a while. Demons that are going back towards, the start of biblical times. Now, a lot of people ask what you can do about this to protect yourself, especially in my fields of paranormal research and things like this. There's a lot of answers to this, you guys. Be it not using provocation. Demons tend to actually respond more to provocation. This is a statistical fact. If you talk to any professional paranormal investigator, they will tell you that they have encountered less angry, demonic, hateful activity when they're not using provocation. I believe that's because it is basically a giant pissing match between you and a demon. Demons don't like to be told that they're not in a point of authority over you. They think they are just by their nature. They believe that they are over you. That being said, when you confront a demon and you tell them, you know what, you're not in control of me and I don't have any kind of time to spend with you, you have no right to even interact with me, they hate that. They genuinely do. And most of the time, that's when activity around you will pick up because they can't get inside of you, but they're trying to elicit fear because fear is like many other things, is a chink in your armor that they can manipulate. It's not just being sure of self that will protect you, but being in check of yourself emotionally, you guys. Anger, sadness, fear, all of these things can be abused by demons and a lot of other supernatural entities. Now, the reason for me bringing up this video now is there's been a lot of reports about it. I've actually had quite a few of you guys ask me to go in on the demons a little more. And there are also demon reports that, like I said, are new. Well, they're not new, they're ancient. But reports of demons, like I said, who have not been reported to in any kind of exorcism for a very long time. Another one I want to get into, you guys, the black-eyed children. Okay, this is another myth that people are pushing, that this is a modern day occurrence that's never happened in history before. This is not true. Black-eyed children, I don't know what demons these are. There is some speculation that they are errand runners for, we'll call it the equivalent of the elder demons, the highest ranking demons, who are sent down to possess children or to appear as children. Sometimes they don't even possess them. Some of them are strong enough to actually manifest themselves into a childlike form. So, where was I? Sorry about that. I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. So the black-eyed kids, you guys, this is not a new thing. Once again, I'm going to take you back into history. There were purported sightings of black-eyed children throughout Syria, Egypt, even China, you guys, throughout history. And I don't understand this new fascination of saying that this is some kind of, new urban legend that has no basis in history. There are stories. Now, you can call them urban legends, you can call them whatever you want, but there are stories going back hundreds of years talking about stuff like this happening, where children come up to houses or strangers who are traveling via horseback, and these children are, looking down or looking sad or not really making eye contact while asking to come into someone's home or to ask for a ride to a certain location back to their home. And then when the traveler or the person in the home makes eye contact with them finally, they notice something terrifyingly wrong. That these children have absolutely no color, no whites, no anything. Just solid black all the way across eyes. Usually these are portrayed to be omens of death, of misfortune. If you see them, something bad is coming your way. This is usually what they're thought of as. So there's a lot of misinformation about demons out there. Even like internet providers like Google and things. You search up demons from certain religions in there, and they give you a very small context. And they'll say, there's no other information about this. But then you'll do research and you realize this demon has the exact same traits, was in the exact same area as these people's demons over here that they called by a different name because they're a different type of people in a different language. They're the same demon. They were both alive back then and now. Like I said, Pazuzu and Zozo are believed to be the same. Just because they're called by two different names and possibly many more names around the world does not mean that they're different demons. It is a very real possibility that these demons are just known by hundreds of different names throughout history around the world by different cultures. Now, as far as the Zozo demon goes, Pazuzu, if it is the real demon, you guys, if Zozo is this demon, the last time he possessed somebody was actually a famous account because a lot of people lend credit to the fact that this was the ghost, or I'm sorry, this was the demon that actually did the real life possession of the exorcist girl. So that's a big demon. Okay, that is an example. That's why that exorcism was as intense as it was, why it gained so much attention, because it was a big deal and it was a scary mother to deal with. This is not like your average little, spirit you're messing around with. Demons are not ghosts. Demons have a lot more power, a lot more manipulative tendencies and ways. They're smart enough to manipulate your weakest points even if you don't realize what they are. So I always tell everyone, if you're messing around with this type of stuff, if you're going into an area that's got purported demon activity, just please only take people who are going to treat this as a serious situation, not as something to play around with or just throw provocations at because you think it's funny. Because those people are going to be the people that get you hurt, because they are going to become demonically attacked or have a demonic entity seize onto them or latch onto them in a worst case scenario, which means it could follow them home. It could be in the car with you. You have to be safe who you take to investigations and make sure you have a clear set of rules and standards that everyone is going to abide by and agree to. Back to the subject of the increasing demand for exorcisms. Now, doctors are calling this a mass psychosis that's getting worse. People aren't being possessed. They're just getting more and more bat crap crazy. Is this a possibility? I'm sure there are some people who are schizophrenic or who are whatever, who are just believe they're possessed. I'm not saying that instance or that one rare example here and there doesn't happen, or any other number of psychological disorders, you guys. I believe there are a lot of psychological disorders in this world, okay? I'm not anti, psychology or any of that. Psychiatry too, I guess. But while I'm not saying that there aren't cases that have been proven to be schizophrenia and things of this nature, you have to realize how rare, number one, as far as the population of Earth goes. I have a weird beeping outside my house. Anyways, you have to realize, according to the population of Earth, possessions have never been a big number, okay? It's not like demons have gone around, taking over people by the hundreds of thousands or any stuff like this. But right now in history, you guys, there is a dangerous uptick in demon possession and demon attacks on people. And whether it's because there's more interest, and like I told everyone before, whenever you've watched my other videos, interacting with spirits is like opening a gate. When you open it, it's kind of hard to close it. And more spirits tend to come. This includes chance encounters with other things from those realms, such as demons, you guys. So there is an uptick. It's not hundreds of thousands, and they don't need hundreds of thousands. That's what I tell people. This is not a legion of force that they're going to flood our earth with right this second, but it is breaking my brain at the fact that no one's worried about this. I'm honestly concerned that there might be a substantial tear in the Vail. We've also talked about this before recently. I am genuinely concerned that during the next, we'll call it apocalypse, the next worldwide cataclysm, whatever you want to call it, I am genuinely worried that this could cause a tear in the Vail. And what I believe this means is our world will be so flooded with spirits and demons and other entities that are of that realm that it will literally become like hell on earth. It's going to get very, very, very ugly if the Vail tears. Now, things can cross the veil all the time, but there's a difference between something crossing the veil, you guys, and there just being a free and open gateway constantly to any entities that want to come or go to our world. And thankfully so, because there are a lot of very dangerous demonic entities that have not shown their face topside since stories from the Bible or the Quran or, all of these other religious texts, the Bhagavad Gita, the Torah. Like, there's so many different ones, you guys, and they all talk about these ancient demons that don't really get reported as sightings today for the most part. If the veil rips and all of these ancient evils come pouring through into our world, I'm not sure like how big of an impact we are going to have in fighting the legions of spirits and demons and creatures that are going to come through the veil. We don't know. This is something that I often bring up ever since I used to watch the show Supernatural, you guys. Where do all these bad things, we'll call them, go when they die? If they don't go to heaven and they don't go to hell. Supernatural's TV show had a very interesting theory where they all go to purgatory, this kind of midpoint of just horrible things. You know what I mean? Like in that show, I think it was like the werewolves and the vampires and ghosts and everything pretty much evil went there. Now, the thing I like about that is you're kind of putting, well, if there's a heaven and there's a hell, but this place says it doesn't take this, and these places say that they don't have this there, then there's got to be another option where these people go, or these entities go, or these demons go. And I do like that concept. So that's kind of how I think of the veil when I talk about, parts of heaven, hell, or the veil. The veil is where spirits who are not in heaven, obviously, because they're here on earth, or they make appearances here on earth, I believe that's where they're at. They're stuck in the veil. They cannot get through to our side, but occasionally some are stuck on our side or gain access to our side, depending on if they're ghosts or demons or whatever they are. Like I said, some of them are here all the time, especially demons. You guys, there are demons that walk the earth constantly. And the fact that these things are upticking and major religious centers are telling us we need more people trained in this. We don't have enough. We have America, in the United States, you guys, the Catholic Church has actually said that according to the Vatican, we do not have enough priests trained in the rite of exorcism to the point where it has become a danger to their flock. Okay, well, if it wasn't just them saying it, if it was just them, I'd be like, fine, maybe. But this is worldwide, you guys. Look at all the paranormal investigators that are getting attacked by purported demonic activity. And a lot of cases, they're actually bringing along now demonologists on these investigations who are corroborating, yes, this sounds like a demonic attack. This sounds like a demonic entity. This is why. And they're going through the steps of why they believe what they believe about these encounters with demonic activities. So, just from me to you guys, try to be safe when you're doing any kind of a paranormal investigation. Keep yourself on emotional lockdown. Keep yourself tight. Keep your beliefs close to you. And if you experience something that you don't think you can handle, I recommend immediately doing small things, not just jumping straight to exorcism, because nobody does that for the most part. You want to try things like burning Palo Santo, smudging with sage. A lot of people believe in the salt rings, or salting your home in the corners of your home, the north, south, east, and west corners of your home. There's a lot of different ways to do this, you guys, and you can see which ones work for you and which ones don't. They're not all guaranteed to work for everybody, and I tell anyone, if something doesn't work, go with the next thing. It's better to be able to get rid of these entities and to know how to do it than to let it become someone else's problem to deal with, and then you have no basis to help yourself in the future except for ask the church or whomever for help again. Try to learn how to deal with the situation yourself. If you cannot handle it, absolutely, you guys, find someone who's willing to help you. Find a friend that's willing to help you. Go to a church that's willing to help you and get help to get rid of these spirits. Demons are nothing to play around with, and they are extraordinarily dangerous. And the fact that we are literally, and like I said to you earlier in my numbers, I would say 300% increase in the last 20 years or so, you guys. That's a lot. And I believe it's because we're approaching the end times. We are coming up to the next stage of our world. Some people call it an apocalypse, a global reset, whatever you want to call it, you guys. I believe it's coming. And I believe this is why we have the uptake of all of these demonic entities messing with people in our world. They want to tip the scales before the game is over. And they want the scales tipped heavily in their favor. So they're pushing for this, and it's a fight. It is a fight for our very lives. Some would say our very souls. So, good luck, you guys. Stay safe. This has been Straight Jacket White Rabbit signing off. You guys have a good night.